Welcome. Today we're going to tackle a core engineering skill, mastering forces. You know, if you've ever looked at a complex system and just felt completely overwhelmed by all the pushes and pulls, well, this one's for you. We are going to break down a universal, step-by-step method to turn all that chaos into a simple, solvable model.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Look at this crane. You've got gravity yanking the load down. You've got tension in the chains pulling up and out. That's a lot. Now, to make sure this lift is safe, an engineer can't just guess. They have to translate this physical reality into a clear symbolic diagram. And that translation, that is the single most important skill we're going to master today. So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the universal procedure that honestly applies to any statics problem. Then, we'll zero in on your most critical tool, the free body diagram, or FBD. We're going to apply all of this to a real example. I'll show you a super handy pro tip with something called a slope triangle, and we'll wrap it all up by talking about the bigger picture, how to really think like an engineer.
First things first. Look, the secret to consistently getting the right answer in statics, it isn't about being some kind of math genius. It's about having a reliable, repeatable procedure that you follow every single time. This is your roadmap.
And here is that roadmap. It's a 5-step cycle. Read, model, formulate, solve, and evaluate. You start by really understanding the problem, then you draw it out, you set up your equations, you do the math, and, this is critical, you check if the answer even makes sense in the real world. Now for today, we're going to be laser focused on step 2, model and draw, because if you nail this step, everything else gets so much easier.
And that brings us to the star of the show, the free body diagram. I really can't stress this enough. If you can master the FBD, you will master statics. It's the bridge between the real world and the equations. It's the foundation for literally everything that comes next.
And making one is just a simple 3-step process. First, you observe the physical system, what's connected to what. Second, you isolate the one point or object you actually care about. Just imagine cutting it free from everything else. And third, you label it with all the forces acting on it. Knowns, unknowns, directions, everything. Observe, isolate, label. That's really it. Now here's a little choice that can make your life so much easier. A beginner might just slap on a standard horizontal and vertical axis. But an expert thinks strategically. By tilting your coordinate system so it lines up with one of the forces, you can dramatically simplify the trigonometry you have to do later. It is the perfect example of working smarter, not harder.
This is such a crucial mindset. Before you punch a single number into your calculator, just stop, think. Look at your free body diagram. Does it make sense? Which forces seem bigger? Which way should the final result probably point? Answering these questions first helps you build your engineering intuition, and it'll save you from making silly mistakes.
All right, theory's great, but let's actually put it into practice. We're going to do our first worked example, a classic connecting link problem. Our goal here is to find the single total force, what we call the resultant force, that's acting on that pin right in the middle.
The method we'll use is basically a 3-step recipe. Step 1, resolve. We break every single angled force into its straight up and down y part and its straight left and right x part. Step 2, sum. We just add up all the x parts together and all the y parts together. And then step 3, rebuild. We use those two totals to build our final resultant force. Resolve, sum, rebuild. Let's do it.
And here we go, applying our rules. We have the physical part, and then we have our clean free body diagram. We've isolated that central pin, and we've drawn the two forces, F1 and F2, acting on it with their magnitudes and their angles. This right here is our solvable model.
Now for step 1, resolve. Let's start with F1. That's the 600 Newton force at 30 degrees. Using our basic trig, right? The horizontal x component is adjacent to the angle, so we use cosine. 600 times cosine of 30 gives us 519.6 newtons. The vertical y component is opposite the angle, so we use sine. 600 times sine of 30 is 300 newtons. Boom! We've just broken F1 into two simple perpendicular pieces.
We do the exact same thing for F2. The x component is 400 times cosine of 45 degrees. But, and this is where you have to be so careful, the y component is pointing down into the negative y direction. So F2y is negative 400 times sine of 45 degrees, which gives us negative 282.8 newtons. Getting your signs right is everything.
Now we're on to step 2, sum. And trust me, this is the easy part. We just add our x's together and we add our y's together. So the total force in the x direction is 519.6 plus 282.8, which gives us 802.4 newtons. And the total in the y direction is 300 minus 282.8, which is a tiny 17.2 newtons. And finally, step 3, rebuild. We now have the two perpendicular sides of a right triangle, our total x force and our total y force. To find the hypotenuse, which is our final resultant force, we just use our old friend, the Pythagorean theorem. The square root of 802.4 squared plus 17.2 squared gives us our final answer, 803 newtons. And that one single vector has the exact same effect as F1 and F2 put together.
Okay, so that method works perfectly when you're given angles. But what happens when a problem gives you a slope instead? Let's look at another example to learn a really common and useful shortcut. In this crane boom problem, notice the force F3. Instead of an angle in degrees, its direction is defined by that little tiny triangle there, with sides of length 3, 4, and 5. This is called a slope triangle, and it actually makes our lives a whole lot easier.
Here's how it works. Instead of using sine and cosine, we just use the ratios from the triangle itself. The ratio of the horizontal part to the hypotenuse is 4/5. The ratio of the vertical part to the hypotenuse is 3/5. So, to find the horizontal component of the force, we just multiply the total force by 4/5. For the vertical component, we multiply by 3/5. No calculator needed for trig. It's a great little shortcut.
And here's the final result after we apply that same process. We resolved each force using our slope triangle trick for F3. Then we summed up all the components. Notice how a lot of the components are negative based on their direction, which leads to a total x force of negative 383.2 newtons and a total y force of negative 296.8 newtons. Finally, we rebuild with Pythagoras to get our final resultant force of 485 newtons. The process is exactly the same, just a slightly different way of getting the components.
So, after all of that, what's the most important lesson here? What's the key takeaway from all this?
It's this: the calculation is just the last step. The real engineering skill, the real power, is in the process. It's in your ability to look at a complicated physical system and systematically translate it into a simple, free body diagram that you know how to solve. And that's a skill that applies far, far beyond just statics problems.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. This whole method of observing, isolating, modeling, and then solving, it's incredibly powerful. So where else in your work, or heck, even in your life, could you apply this kind of systematic approach to turn a problem that seems really complex into something simple and manageable? Thanks for watching.
This video was created by Notebook LM and brought to you by Al Jazari. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who might find it interesting. Drop a comment below if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. Stay tuned for more industrial insights, and we'll see you in the next video.